You're listening to the Codependent Millennial Podcast with Sophie Shiloh, episode 30, Portals and Seasons. Before we dive in today, I have a few things to say. First, I want to announce that I have a super fun quiz for you guys. It's a codependency quiz. I'm so excited about it. The link to take this quiz is, of course, in the show notes of this episode, and you can also find it if you visit my website. It's the first button you'll see. It just says take the quiz. You have to scroll down just like a tiny little bit, but it's right there. You'll see it. So I designed this quiz so that you'd be able to pinpoint exactly which aspect of codependency is the most important for you individually to heal. And then, of course, to also give you steps forward to do just that. So if you're like, I don't know if I'm codependent, or if you're kind of thinking, well, I don't really know where to start in my healing of codependency, this quiz will answer all those questions for you and will help you understand what steps forward to take towards healing codependency and living a life that you truly love, what I'm all about. So enjoy that. I'm so excited for you guys to take it. I hope you have fun. The next thing I have for you is something that a client of mine, Shelby, wrote. Shelby is currently in my Codependency Cure Mentorship, my group program, and she is, I think, in month 4 at this point. She emailed me the other day, and I just had to share what she wrote here with you. Shelby said, I think the mentorship is brilliant. I think you are brilliant. Honestly, this seems flattery, but it's deeply genuine. I've attended a few mental health talks and coaching calls that have been free, and although they were valuable in their own way, they gave me so much perspective into understanding, wow, when you have the right coach for you, you just know. It just feels right. I feel that. We're so blessed to have you, Soph. You're so genuine and authentic. I'm thankful for your depth. I have loved getting to know all of the ladies in the group. I learned so much from witnessing you speak with them. I've found so much value in getting to objectively observe. I enjoy the format of the group as well, teaching and then having time for coaching on the calls. When you're coaching the other ladies, I can relate to their stories. So not only do I learn from the questions you ask and from their responses, but getting to witness their journey helps me to feel less alone in mine. This is so precious and worth everything. We have such a killer group of ladies. I'm in awe of them. Oh my God, Shelby. It's just so beautiful what you wrote. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy you're in the group, as is everyone else, and I'll just go ahead and speak for them. Reading this was touching and extremely humbling, so thank you. And lastly, before we begin today's talk on portals and seasons, I want to announce that I'm offering a few intensives for the end of this year and the beginning of next. I always love using the end of the year to reflect, to go inward, to tend to myself and my life in those deep and important ways, and to look forward into what I want to create and build in the future. These intensives will include a few sessions and email support from me rather than a full 6 months of coaching. So if this is something you'd like to do together, send me an email and we'll set it up. My email is Sophie, Sophie, at codependentmillennial.com. All right, my loves, so let's dive in. Portals and seasons. I want to talk about this today because it's been coming up a lot for my clients. So of course I want to bring it to you because collective consciousness, when something is happening for some of us, it's likely happening for a lot of us. Also, today is Rosh Chodesh Kislev on the Jewish calendar, so it's a perfect time to talk about new beginnings, endings, all of it. Rosh Chodesh is just the head of the month. It's the new month. So healing isn't linear. Our lives aren't linear. Energy isn't linear. It's all about cycles and ebbs and flows and seasons, and the fact that the only constant is change. When we go through a period of exhaustion or depression or aimlessness or fatigue, a lot of us, we can tell ourselves the narrative that we're lazy or unmotivated or we're not driven. But I want to tell you that that's not the case. Your body is so much wiser than your brain. And so I want to invite you to ask the question, what could your body be giving you space for that your brain hasn't been paying attention to? That is the most important question you need to ask if you feel like you're in a season of your life that isn't going how you think it should. And I just want to add also, when we think things should be different than they are, when we argue with reality in that way, that's when we can cause ourselves some of the most pain. So again, what could this season be allowing you to prepare for? What could this season be letting you heal from? What could this season be helping you get clarity around? What could your body be giving you space for that your brain hasn't been paying attention to? One thing that happens when we transition from season to season is that we do so by going through a portal. Sometimes this looks like moving from a season of rest to a season of production or vice versa, from a season of integration to a season of new learning. And sometimes it looks like moving from a season of one way of being into a new season of choosing to be in the world in a new way. Like, for example, with boundaries, that's definitely a way I'd relate this back to codependency. In any case, when we do transition seasons in our lives, we are always presented with portals and vehicles to help us through. Always, always, always. There's never a time when you are transitioning seasons when you're just doing so in a vacuum. Never, ever. Sometimes the portal, for example, is a trip. Sometimes it's a new relationship or a new period of being single or uncoupled. Sometimes the portal is a new way of being in an old relationship. Like, again, for example, when you decide to set a new boundary and you get to use that relationship as a way to live into that new boundary. You get to live into the person you are with that new boundary. That is a portal that you use to walk into your new self. And that's not to say that you're using the relationship, you're, using this person at their expense. It's just talking about how when you are stepping into a new version of yourself, when you're stepping into a new season, when you're, in this case, stepping into a new boundary, your life is supporting you in that pursuit. So your life will be presenting you with opportunities to live into that new self, to live into that new boundary, to transition into that new season. So if you're experiencing something now that feels challenging, that your brain thinks should be easier or smoother, it's very likely that you're just transitioning seasons and walking through a portal. Nothing has gone wrong here. It's all fine. It's all perfect. It's happening exactly the way it's supposed to happen. My suggestion to you in this case is that you stop resisting whatever it is that you're experiencing and that you start instead approaching it with the knowing and the trust that it is exactly where you're meant to be. Let's just breathe into that for a little bit. It is exactly where you're meant to be. It's exactly what you're meant to be experiencing right now. It's not contradictory to what you want in your life. It's actually contributing to that. It's contributing to you getting it or being it. It's the vehicle that will help you get there. It's the mechanism by which you'll be able to be all that you want to be. It's the portal that you have to walk through in order to become the person on the other side of it. And the beauty here is that without it, you couldn't. Without that portal to walk through, you couldn't actually become the person on the other side of it. Without this thing that you're resisting, you wouldn't even be able to have what you think it's keeping you from. I'm going to read that one again because that's really important. Without this thing that you're resisting, you wouldn't even be able to have what you think it's keeping you from, what you think it's preventing you from having. So soften the resistance. Get grounded, get grateful, get clear. Ask yourself how best you can participate in walking through this portal and navigate your way through the season you're in. And watch how your life unfolds and flows once you start doing that. It will be magical, and I cannot wait for you to experience that. I want to encourage you to observe the kind of flow that you start to experience in your life when you stop resisting. I want you to really be cognizant of the fact that your life can flow easier. It can feel easier. It can be less painful. It can feel more aligned and more right. It can feel more aligned, really. That's the word I want to use. Your life can feel more aligned when you decide to release the resistance that you've been having around things in your life that are happening. I was talking with a client today about resisting the truth, about resisting reality. And I promise you, it will be huge for you to observe in your life what happens, the increased flow and ease that happens when you decide to stop arm wrestling reality. It's very interesting, and I know it will be a fascinating experiment for you if you choose to take this on, which I highly suggest you do. So my loves, that's what I have for you today. I hope this served you, and I hope you have a beautiful evening. If you want to learn more about the work I do with my clients, and if you'd like to find out more about how you can work with me yourself, you can just visit codependentmillennial.com and click on the Work With Me button in the menu. You can also email me directly. My email is Sophie, Sophie, at codependentmillennial.com. I'll talk to you next week. Bye. If you liked what you heard in this episode, join me over on Instagram at Codependent Millennial for more tips on how to move beyond codependency and build a life you truly love.